I'm Lena Yasutake. Thank you for coming to this webinar, Regency Made Easy. We're going to try to cover a lot in about a half an hour, and so there'll definitely be stuff that we cannot cover in this short amount of time. But we're going to send you a list with lots of resources, YouTube videos and Etsy shops and Amazon links, things that you can follow up with. And of course, you can email if you have questions, and we would love to follow up with you individually, but we will have time for Q&A at the end of this little presentation. So we're going to dive in with a little PowerPoint, and we're going to look at some pictures, and I'm just going to talk about things that I like and things that we can steal. Okay, so first thing is we have a lovely crown that sort of reminds me of like a 50s bathing cap of flowers. And so if you're thinking, what do I wear in my hair? Her hair is almost completely covered. Like she doesn't have curly bangs going on. It's like very subtle, and she just has a lot of flowers. So we're going for Regency. But when we talk about period accuracy, we talk about what's historically accurate. Regency wasn't a year or two, right? It was like almost 2 decades. And so we have from the late 90s to the late teens, we have this like huge variation in what Regency fashion looks like. So we've got our flowers on one side with her fabulous jewelry set. I'm wearing a similar set of jewelry from Dames a la Mode. And then on the other side, we have a lovely lady who's wearing a wrapped turban. So I'm actually going to show you how to wrap a simple turban. And then we're going to talk a little bit about if you can sew, an easy sewing project, which is making your own turban. Also, our turban goddess is wearing drop pearl earrings, and I have an Amazon link for you for those for about $10, or you can support In the Long Run Designs or Sign of the Gray Horse, or one of our many other fabulous friends who sell pearl drop earrings, very popular during the Regency. Here we have our lovely picture again with the jewels around the neck. And what I really love around her head is she has a pearl, what I think of as a pearl necklace, right? So it's multiple strands of pearls. And I've actually taken 2 and 3 strand pearl necklaces and pinned them in my hair to make that like 3-strand sort of Grecian goddess thing going on. And the other side, we have this beautiful, you could call it a hair comb, you could call it a diadem. It's very popular during the Regency, but I especially like this picture because it's at this sort of jaunty angle. And then she has jewelry going on her dress. So she's got like pearls on her dress and a jeweled brooch on her dress, and just really making it sparkle. Okay, so Regency comes in all shapes and sizes. I have here a couple of pictures. So I have my plus size goddess with a fabulous shawl. I love a shawl. It's great for warmth, but sometimes at a ball, you don't want a shawl because as soon as you get there and start dancing and shaking your groove thing, you warm up, and then before you know it, you're looking for somewhere to put your beautiful shawl. But I do also really love her hair because she has a very simple bun. She's got the curls in the front, sure, very Regency, but she's got this really simple bun that any of us can do with just a few hairpins. And if your hair is not that long, you can cheat with a little donut, again, available at any hair care store or Amazon. In the middle, we have a Grecian goddess, quite literally, with her laurel of golden leaves, and that is a popular headband style right now. So if you go to Amazon and you look for golden leaf headband, crown, combs, clips, you will find more than you can shake a stick at. And she's also wearing fabulous blue gloves. Where did I put my blue gloves? Okay, well, anyway, she's wearing fabulous blue gloves, which is just my little PSA that you don't have to wear white gloves to the ball. Sure, white, off-white, bone, ivory, all of these gorgeous gloves were the most common, but they weren't the only colors that were worn at the ball. And then we have Shamim, who is wearing her beautiful crown of flowers over her hijab, and she has her shirt matching her gown, which also matches perfectly her gloves. So really anyone and everyone can enjoy a Regency moment and a fabulous look. Okay, so let's talk about hair textures and hair types. Not everybody has the same hair texture. And so I have here three beautiful Black women all rocking different types of Regency hair. So we have a gorgeous, huge, gorgeous afro on Queen Charlotte, and she's wearing this big, beautiful tiara right in the middle, and it looks amazing. So if you have natural hair, if you want to rock it out, just wear it completely just gorgeously full and fluffy. That is actually completely accurate to the period. So when you look at some of the fashion plates, there's not a ton of them featuring women of color, but the one that's the most famous, she is 100% rocking an afro. It is gorgeous and she is bejeweled and she is fabulous, but her hair is natural and it looks stunning. In the center, we have Kristen, who is also the proprietress of Black Orchid Atelier. She's wearing a beautiful turban with feathers. This is a more structured turban. It's put together, it matches her dress gorgeously. And again, another plus size goddess, just to show you that Regency really looks great on all different body types, whether you're tall, statuesque, whether you're smaller, whether you're curvy, busty, or not. Everybody looks good in Regency. And she's wearing a really beautiful open robe, which is a fun way to dress up a simple white gown. And then we have from Bridgerton, Lady Danbury, who is wearing her hair essentially in like a curly bun on top, and then she has again jewels around the front, like a comb or a tiara around the front. And this is something that you can do with a simple hairpiece if your hair isn't that long. And I have a couple of links for curly buns and kinky buns, coily buns that you can put over a smaller ponytail or a smaller bun of your natural hair that looks like an extension of your hair and is giving Regency, Bridgerton, Jane Austen fabulosity. Okay, speaking of links, so these are just a few Amazon dresses that I scouted that are literally cribbed directly from Bridgerton. So if your fantasy is to live your Bridgerton dreams at our Jane Austen ball, then you can do that at very little expense. None of these dresses cost more than $60. Okay, so back to the pearls. So we've got a pearl strand situation going on, but I also really love her little pink sash with a bow in the front. Bow in the front is not really a modern look. It might seem a little unusual, like, oh, do we want to do the bow in the front? But I think she pulls it off and it looks really cute. So if you have a length of ribbon, you can take any gown and you can sash it with a bow in the front of the back and give it a little glamour, a little color, a little fun. I've included a picture of myself just literally wearing that pearl necklace I was talking about. It's a double strand of pearls, and I just pinned it into my hair to create the same look that she has. And then next to us, we have my friend Danielle, who's wearing a Regency beret, also called a toque, and she sells these in her shop. But I've also included a link to a tutorial on how to make them if you're the sewy kind of, Regency person. And then I'm wearing my hair wrapped in a silk tignon, which is something that women of color would wrap their hair in, sometimes because we had to legally, but sometimes because it was a fashion statement and a way to express ourselves creatively. Colored gloves, just saying, colored gloves, putting that out there again. And we have a very simple wrapped turban that I'm going to teach you how to make during this conversation. Now on to The Gentleman. So I've included two adaptation pictures here. We have Emma and Mr. Knightley in the 1995 or 96 version. And then we have Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy in the 1995 version. And you can see he's wearing white stockings. He has dancing slippers on, which is very period correct. And he's wearing a white waistcoat and he's wearing black breeches, black tailcoat. And this is a very classic look for the ball. You will most likely have seen a gentleman wearing a white, cream, buff, light colored waistcoat for the ball. It was like wearing a tuxedo today. However, it's also period correct for gentlemen to be wearing very light colored breeches, silk, white, cream, ivory, off-white breeches. And I think it's interesting they chose to put Darcy in black here. I feel like it makes him look a little bit more imposing and austere. But it also could be a little more formal for our modern audience. But with Mr. Knightley, they just went off script. He's wearing black stockings as well as black breeches. So it kind of almost gives the illusion of like a trouser leg, which I think is really interesting. Very manly, very chic. You totally can do that if you love it. And he's wearing a colored waistcoat, which I just think is super fun, really handsome. So just because they would have only worn light or white doesn't mean that you have to only wear light or white to the ball. So here we have two gentlemen. I basically want to show you two things. Their shoes, which essentially look like girls' ballet flats because that's where they came from. I mean, our flats, not their shoes. And their fobs. They're both wearing fobs, which are little jewelry decorative ribbon thingies to show where their watch is, but also it's a fashion statement. You do not have to carry a pocket watch to wear a fabulous fob. They're really easy to make. I have made them with super simple tutorials available online. I've got a couple of different fobs for my gentlemen in my life to wear with their things, and none of them have watches that go with them. And one gentleman here is wearing trousers, long pants that go all the way down, and the other one is wearing breeches that stop at the knee. So either look is appropriate for the ball, although they're not dressed for evening. Here we have the Duke looking very dashing. In the one image, he's wearing that white waistcoat with the black on black, very formal. And then the other one, he's wearing a figured waistcoat, which is very fabulous. And I've included some links to waistcoats that are very similar to the one he's wearing, available on Amazon, if you're interested in pulling off that Bridgerton vibe. Cravats, last but not least. So very important to wear a cravat. You don't have to wear a white cravat, although in the evening for formal occasions, white was definitely more common. It was very uncommon to wear a colored cravat to a ball or evening assembly. However, my gentlemen wear colored cravats because they have cravats made from African fabric. It's one of the ways that we express ourselves and share our culture with our friends and family. They were designed by Trinell Mooring, a wonderful Black designer and costume designer. So we sometimes wear colored cravats, although we have white ones as well. And we're going to show you how to tie a cravat, two different styles, as pictured here. Okay. So I'm going to show you first. This is a nice wide ribbon. It's not a silk ribbon, but it looks like silk and it feels like silk. I got it from Danielle from Timely Tresses, and I bought it because I was wearing the same dress to the ball that I had worn the first day of the conference, and I wanted something to like zhuzh it up and make it cute. So I did like a little sash look with it. And then I got these feathers and I put them with my tignon and just made it a little bit more formal and fun. If you're going to do a ribbon sash, just make sure that your ribbon is nice and wide. And I would also recommend taking a little straight pin and just pinning it right in the center so that it doesn't slide around or like fall down, and have one of your friends safety pin it for you in the back so that your bow stays perfect, precise, and in place all night. I have another sash that really is silk. This one I fold in the middle so it's nice and skinny at the top, and then it's nice and wide in the back to create like a flowy kind of sashy effect. I've tied it in the front and the back. Here we have a cravat. Now, let me say, I do know that this is not how cravats were made in the 1800s. They were made out of square or rectangular pieces of fabric that were folded artfully and starched like origami until you got a strip about this width. I have very hot gentlemen in my lives, like in more ways than one, okay? So we go for a strip of fabric cravat that is completely anachronistic, but we're okay with that. And I can still show you how to tie it, even though it's not period correct. So you're going to take your cravat and you're going to go back first. So you want your left tail to be a little longer than the right tail. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so he says depends which one it is. We're gonna go for even this time. So going around, and then in the back, what you can do if it's actually that folded fabric, you're gonna have a lot to work with. You're gonna fold up to go over this shoulder, and then the same thing here. I can't really see what I'm doing, but I'm just feeling it. Up to go over again, and see how that lays nice and flat, and you don't get any bulk in the front. And then you're going to go over, up and through. And then with this side, you're going to make a little loop. And then you're going to come through. You're going to make a little loop. Here's my loop. And then you're going to come through the loop and gently pull it. And you're going to adjust, adjust, adjust. Okay. And this is a barrel knot. Now, if you didn't get it, girl, gentleman, person, non-binary friend, I did not get it either, okay? I had to watch it like 50 million times. But don't worry, we've given you links. Zach Pinzent ties it 5 different ways. We have a Get Ready with Mr. Knightley for the ball. He does it 2 different ways. So I'm going to show you one other way. That is with our Miss Trey cravat. That is going to go in a bow, which is my favorite for the ball because it's like a little fancy and it's like the grandfather of the modern bow tie. So we're gonna do left longer. Left, he says left needs to be a little bit longer than the right. So I'm just making it a little bit longer on the left. So back, I'm gonna get a little closer. We're gonna go over, same as before, up and through. But this time, you're just gonna get this guy out of the way. Like nobody wants him. And then you're gonna make a bow, a little loop with this one, and then come over here. And then this is the hard part to show, so I'll see if you can show it. So there's my loop here, and then I'm gonna take this through that loop. And I have to like adjust so that it looks nice and cute. And I have to fluff out my little bow so it looks like a bow. And my little tails. So they're doing the thing they're supposed to do. And again, if you didn't get it, please don't worry about it. We have like a tutorial that you can watch at half speed or quarter speed or however many speeds, but the bow, and you can make the bow part smaller by pulling on the tails or adjust it how you like. And I like a long cravat that is not a folded starched piece of fabric. But if you want to be historically accurate, Zach will teach you how to starch it, how to fold it. He'll even give you a recipe for the starch that is the best. Beau Brummel could never. One more thing for people wearing gentlemen's attire, you need a pair of braces. Okay, these are not modern suspenders with the little clippies on the end. These have the little holes for buttons that you do actually need to sew onto the inside of your pants. JK, I lied because I usually forget to do it. And so we just use these industrial strength safety pins to hold them on, and they work perfectly fine. They've gotten me through many a ball, just saying. I get them at Walmart. I think they're Dritz brand. They're in the sewing aisle, and you get like 500 in a bag. They're massive. They're super strong. So why do you need braces? You may ask. Because doesn't matter who made your breeches, how beautiful and perfect they are. They are supposed to be so high compared to modern trousers. Your breeches, your Regency breeches, should be hitting you right at your sternum. Okay, that is a high pant line right there. All right, so you need those braces to hold it up so that when you're, dancing and doing all your la la la, your breeches aren't betraying you and sliding down. And why are the pants that high? Well, the breeches are that high, or the trousers are that high, because the waistcoats are that high. Modern waistcoats or vests have these little pointy points at the bottom, and they go past your belly button and sometimes like all the way to a gentleman's hip, right? Or a person's hip. But Regency, and I'm going to pull out my shortest one just to be extra. Regency waistcoats are, they're cropped, okay? The original crop top is a Regency waistcoat. So if your waistcoat is this cropped, then you're going to need a really high pants to make sure everything is looking, tucked in together, proper, correct. This waistcoat was actually a woman's coat, and I really like the pattern. It was a costume for Sense and Sensibility. I wanted it for Robert Ferris because I thought he was such a peacock. And if you look closely, it has like very reminiscent of like peacock design and colors. Keep in mind, it was a theater costume, so be nice in the comments. But I wanted it. And so they took out the darts in the front and kind of just took off the sleeves and cropped it. And that woman's jacket became Robert Ferris's waistcoat, and he looked fabulous. I'll show you. He wore it with this tailcoat, very red, very loud, gold buttons, very fun. Also originally a woman's coat. And we added the pocket flaps on the back. And we zhuzhed the tail a little bit. And we cropped it. And he looked fantastic. Completely adorable. And very coxcomb, very dandy, very fabulous. So if you go to a thrift store, like I did, still got the tag, and it was half off though, by the way, and you find a nice long winter coat. This one I like because it even has the curved back seams that are very Regency. You can turn it into a tailcoat if you're not super duper particular about being historically accurate. You can have a lot of fun with this. You absolutely should take out the shoulder pads. Shoulder pads are not Regency. You should definitely take out the lining because you're already going to be hot if you're wearing a coat. And you don't need any extra layers because you're going to be wearing a shirt and a waistcoat, and no thank you. So sometimes I'll keep the lining just in the very bottom in the tail so that it looks nice in pictures and stuff, but the rest of it, I'll cut it completely out. And then with some of this fabric that I cut away from the front center, I'll usually add a cuff, a fake cuff to the end, because the sleeves were much longer back then. And generally speaking, these are women's coats and men tend to have longer arms. So that has been my experience. And also it's Regency, so it looks right for the period as well. So even if you don't have $150 plus to spend on buying an actual tailcoat, you can get a approximation with relatively low level sewing skills. I did my first one with a hot glue gun and it came out fine. It looked great in pictures and he danced all night. Okay, I'm going to show you two more things. First, I'm going to show you that turban that I promised you. This is a little silk scarf. It also, I've used it as a sash, but I'm going to just take it in half. I'm going to wrap it around my head, take the tail through the loop, and that's it. That's literally the entire turban. Now with the tail, you can like style it where you have the tail kind of like hanging down to the side. I've seen paintings like that. You can take it and you can tuck the tail in to make sort of like a peak in the middle, very Regency, very like Wonder Woman. Um, you can have fun with it. You can twist it so that it's more visually interesting. But seriously, you don't even need a pin. How easy was that? I'm telling you, folks, the secrets, they're out there. Okay, I have a dress here from Bohemian Belle. It is a drawstring dress, which I love a drawstring dress. Her ready-made dresses, drawstring dresses are fantastic because they are a variety of sizes. This is a 2X, and I'm going to put it on my mannequin, which is like a size 6, maybe a little smaller. Before I put it on her, I'm just going to show you my 2 pairs of stays. So these are my long stays. They have a piece of wood down the front called a busk, and it helps with posture, but it also helps with bust support like a lot because you want them to be up here, like way higher than normal. And when they're up there, every body, like body looks great in Regency. When they're at a normal natural height, then no matter how cute your dress is, it can be a little bit of like oranges in a shopping bag effect. So definitely get some support. And there is a link that I'm going to send out for a demi cup bra. And what I did was I took the straps, I cinched them all the way. And then even more than that, I took the rest of the extra and I pinched it and put a pin in it. And it gave me the same lift as a pair of short stays for a fraction of the price. So if you are a fashionista on a budget, you can do that. Here's a pair of short stays. I've seen these on Etsy available for like 125 in that neighborhood. Short stays are super duper comfortable. They're super duper practical. I love stays for giving a fantastic silhouette. If you are dressing in ladies attire, I highly recommend a pair of stays. And if you're not, definitely do that demi with the shortened straps. And sometimes for photo shoots and in theater, we've even taken a piece or two of duct tape and around the bottom of the bust to kind of flatten the bottom of the bust and push everything up, giving you a nice flat space under here for your sash to sit nice and flat. It really works. So drawstring dress, 2X on a tiny mannequin. How's that going to work? So I'm going to put it on her. Okay. Even the sleeves are drawstring, and it's like it's swimming on her, right? It's too big. So I'm just going to take that drawstring and I'm going to cinch it. Oh my gosh, look how cute. And then I'm going to do her little waist. Oh, what? Stop it. Oh, adorable. And then you can like ruche it if you want to ruche it, put a sash on it. So if your size fluctuates like mine, I highly recommend a drawstring dress. And I put a link for matte gloves. They're wedding gloves, but they're not that expensive, which I love. Look, I love Bridgerton. I do not love shiny gloves. Okay. I am originally from the South, and shiny gloves just ain't it, honey. No, you don't wear shiny gloves to a debutante ball. But I also don't have money for real leather opera gloves in every color, and I do love a colored glove. So this is a Dewey glove. It is a fake leather glove. And because I actually bought this for someone else who is plus like me, and when we got it to wear all the way up the arm, it was a little bit too tight. So we cut off the original arm. It's unhemmed. There's no sewing here. The only thing I did was I put a few little stitches in here to lock it so that the side side seam, excuse me, doesn't come undone. And they're super comfortable, super glamorous. You can get them in every color, and they come up to like 25 inches long, I think. Like, I don't know who needs gloves that long, maybe not for Regency. Last but not least, I highly recommend that you get yourself a pair of shorts if you are a plus size baddie, because when you're dancing around in those long dresses, you do not want to be uncomfortable and have thigh chafing situation going on. They're not the same as Spanx. They're super duper comfortable, super duper breathable. I have naturally curly hair, but if you don't, I highly recommend a 1/2 inch curling wand. It's going to look too small. You're going to think 1/2 inch. Is she crazy? Yes, I am crazy. I have a Hot Tools one, but there's a link for a $14 one from Conair that works just as good. Okay, I'm already like way over time, and I didn't even show you half the things in my little cage of wonders over here. There's just so many things to go over for your very first ball. I did happen to find on Amazon satin square toe slippers, which I'd been wanting for a long time, but were out of my price range. So I put the link in there for those as well. I also have a white pair that's a little bit pointier that I found on Amazon as well. I'm not trying to make Jeff Bezos rich, but he does keep finding my Regency dreams at a price point that I can afford. So, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So questions, anybody ask your questions?
Brilliant, Lena. Thank you so much. This was fantastic as always. I'm so honored to be your friend and to have you as a board member for the Holy Theater. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Um, I I have a question to start off with, and then folks, you're free to oh, Georgie's here. Hi, Georgie. Um, to turn on your mic if you'd like to ask a question or ask a question in the chat. Um, but why do you think that Regency is such a popular era for people? We I have come to be somebody who over the last few years who has like enough Regency clothes for a 4-day weekend. And I find that I actually have places to wear them pretty frequently. Why do you think that is, and how do you why do you love the Regency?
I've always loved the Regency. I fell in love with the Regency like head over heels hard when I saw Ang Lee's Sense and Sensibility. They just looked so elegant and diaphanous and just beautiful. And I thought, oh gosh, that's it. That's my favorite era of fashion. And that's saying a lot because I love historical costume. And I think that it's popular because honestly, Jane Austen. Jane Austen's popularity has created a society with chapters around the country and similar societies around the world where people who love Austen get together. And Austen lived during that time period, a period which is already really beautiful and really fun to dress in. And then shows like Bridgerton came along, making it accessible at every price point. So before, you might have to make your own gown, and we've included some links for fantastic patterns if you know how to sew, or custom order a gown to your measurements, which usually start around 150 and then go up from there, which is a very reasonable price to pay for a dress when you consider the time it takes to put something together from scratch and the cost of materials. 150 is really reasonable, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody has 150. So I have this dress here that I really like, and it's really flowy. It has a wonderful drape, and it was $25 on Amazon. No zipper, only buttons. So I think the fact that Austen is still popular, and then a show like Bridgerton came along, and then vendors started making Regency at every price point. It looks good on so many different body types. Um, it's just, I feel like it's a style that's going to endure. Like the Empire waist thing, like I'm wearing an Empire waist dress that I just bought from Cider. That's not even Regency, but I love it because, it gives me Regency vibes.
Amazing. Thank you. Does anybody else have a question about
I
dressing for
have
your
a
first ball or
couple.
anything else? Mithil?
Yeah, I have a couple. So I was thinking of wearing these like pointed toe kitten heels, but I wasn't sure if like kitten heels are okay instead of ballet flats. And then the second question I had was my hair doesn't really hold curls at all, so I just wondering how I can like make it period appropriate. I have
Uh,
bangs.
I love that. Okay, so first question, you can wear whatever you want to the ball. You can wear kitten heels if that makes you feel beautiful and fabulous, wear them. My experience with my pointed toe kitten heel shoes was my feet did not thank me at my first ball. And after that, I wore ballet flats to every ball. And actually, that's where ballet flats came from. People used to go to the ball, and then once they got there, they would change into these soft leather soled, flexible, often made of fabric dancing slippers that were much more comfortable than the fashionable shoes they would wear out and about in town. And you dance the night away in those. And then at the end of the night, you put your dancing slippers away and you put your shoes on and you went back home. So you don't have to wear a ballet flat if you don't want to. Wear your kitten heel. But the reason they wore them is because they are so comfortable for dancing. And a small kitten heel and a pointed toe is period correct for Regency. Early Regency, 1790s, definitely still had little itty bitty heels on them. And as far as your hair, you don't have to wear your own hair. So I didn't have time to put in everything that I wanted to cover, but I did a show, Pride and Prejudice, where my beautiful Mary Bennett um, has a glow up when Mr. Colin moves into the house because she's trying to catch his eye. And she also had very straight hair, fine hair, and she didn't want to damage it with heat. And she said, I've also tried curling it, it just doesn't hold a curl. And so I bought a bang clip in bang that was like a long bang and then it had a side. I forget what they're called, but they're really popular right now. And I put them on tiny little plastic curlers. I dipped the whole hairpiece into boiling water. Like I poured it into a bowl so it wasn't like actively boiling. Let it sit for about 3 minutes and then I let it air dry. That's very, very important. Do not get impatient and take it apart while it's wet. I let it air dry, which honestly took more than a day. Like I laid it out on a towel. It took a while to dry, but when it was fully completely dry, I uncurled the curlers. I gently like finger combed them out and she looked so cute. It matched her hair color really naturally and she could switch between scenes really easily, just like snap it in and then boom, curly bangs, framing the face. And then when he picked Charlotte Lucas, that hussy, then she went back to her more severe hairstyle. Also, you can do no bangs, totally Regency, as one of the ladies in the slideshow showed, right? She had her little flower thing going on and really hardly any hair showing at all. You can have your hair completely covered with a turban or a toque. You can wear real hair that you buy. So it belongs to you, but it didn't grow out of your head. You can get curly hair or coily hair in wefts. So it's sewn on a long kind of band of and then you can just trim it to the length you want, pin it on with hairpins, and then what I usually do is I'll take a braid to cover the weft. And then you have natural real curls that'll last the night. They're not expensive at all because they don't have any clips. And you can layer them if you want like a fuller bang, or you can just have one sort of row of fringe if you want like a thinner bang. Straight bangs were also Regency. They're much less common, so they weren't painted as often, but they totally were, and so was short hair. So you do you, boo boo.
I'm just going to put a Pinterest board in the chat that I feel like ringlets look strange on me, so I don't usually do them when I do Regency. And I have compiled some evidence that this was done in the form of a Pinterest board of either people who either have smooth hair in front and no bangs, or just loose bangs that are not tightly curled.
And Lady Danbury wears her hair pulled back, right? With
Mm-hmm.
that beautiful
Mm-hmm.
tiara kind of jeweled piece and then the kind of puff bun in the back. very gorgeous, giving Regency vibes.
I would also add that, yeah, as you said, people should wear whatever they want, both to the Holy Theater's ball and I think to most Jane Austen balls. Um, there's it's meant to be a fun experience where people get dolled up and have fun playing with a new identity, but it's not there's no imperative for historical accuracy of any kind.
There are reenactors balls
There are.
where there are
Yeah.
like rules about what you can and cannot wear. That is not this. This is a place for joy and celebration and fun and fundraising for the Holy Theater. And it is a place for creative self expression. Just on that note, one of my favorite waistcoats is actually made from Korean silk fabric. It was a Korean vest from my dad, and my friend took the back panel out and changed it to velvet, and she added the back panel into the front to make that Regency style collar. And I just love it. I love that it's a little bit of that cultural heritage from my childhood coming into the ball. And also, I have a couple of really beautiful linen shirts that are like, you know, woo woo, historically accurate, very nice. I got them at the Colonial Williamsburg tag sale. Okay. Did you know they have a tag sale every year? They do. That's crazy. But nobody's going to see your shirt if you're wearing a waistcoat and a tailcoat at the ball. So I often will take a regular man's dress shirt and I will change the collar. So I'm going to see if I can get the light to calm down a little bit. There we go. So I will change the collar. I'll keep the collar band. And then I will just add a notched collar that's square and stands up nice and tall. I'm wearing it backwards, but here. Imagine I'm Mr. Darcy. Oh, look at that. So fabulous. And who needs to know? Nobody needs to know. And that's minimal sewing. That's like, can you sew a straight line on the sewing machine? You can do the collar swap. Any other questions?
Georgie, you are I think one of our at least resident experts on Regency gentlemen's fashion. Are you do you have anything that you would add? Oh, maybe he stepped away. Oh,
No, I'm here.
no. Hi.
I'm here. I couldn't find the button. um, I mean, for men, it's a little bit harder, you know, because like Lena was saying, for the ladies, you can get away with finding, you know, a dress on Amazon that has like an empire waist, and you kind of like dress it up. The challenge with the men's fashion during the Regency era is that it was incredibly tailored. But still, there, like in my experience, there are a couple of things that you could get away with. You know, like Lena was mentioning, because of Bridgerton, now it is very easy to find, or easier to find, Regency costumes or Regency pieces online, different price ranges. You can get a full Regency. Commonly, they usually label as Victorian, but that happens a lot. A lot of people think that every historical period between the medieval and the Roaring 20s is called Victorian. That happens a lot. But no, I've been able to find like jackets or even breeches. Like I ran out of breeches, and I found my breeches on Amazon, and they are historically accurate. And I didn't pay a lot of money for them. It's like 45, 50 bucks. There's a lot of colonial, if you look for colonial, there's a lot of like the breeches a lot of colonial reenactments, both because of Bridgerton, but also because of Hamilton. There's a lot of like, a little earlier, but you can get away with the breeches and make them work for a Regency ball. Same with like the shirts. If you look for a pirate shirt, you will find the big, the sleeves, or a Jabba shirt, very easily, very inexpensive, online. And even, sometimes if you don't want to be super accurate, there is always the possibility to find a tailcoat at a thrift store or a vintage store. It will be, the cut will be a little different, but it will have the tails that will give the Regency vibe as well. And yeah, there's like an Anthony Bridgerton costume around, like online, that I've seen at different price points and different colors. You find them in blue, green. Another way also that I found, I've seen a lot of people do that, because it's an easy cheat, is instead of just going for the gentleman look, you can always go for the red coat, the military, because it is very easy to find red coat outfits because of the colonial or like the Revolutionary War. There are a lot of costumes out there with like the red, officer, the British officer, which is, it also kind of gives the look for a ball, even if it's not like super historically accurate. It looks period, it looks fun, and it's an easy costume to come by online. So yeah, I think those will be my points. And when it comes to shoes, Lena actually sent me a really good link. It's a brand called Naturalizer. These are women's shoes, but they sell flats that look just like Regency shoes for that a man would wear, and they're super comfy. So I highly recommend those. Lena, if you have the link, I would recommend that you share it, because those shoes are fantastic. That was a recommendation that you gave me, and I got my shoes and I love them. So yeah,
Thanks.
those are great. That's a great option, and very inexpensive shoes. Very flexible, and they're going to be very comfortable for dancing. And then like the little pieces is always very easy. You can always find like the gloves and the stockings and the cravat. All of that is very easy to come by. So yeah, it's about mix and match and how much you want to spend. And again, if you want to go the fancy way, there are plenty of amazing people on Etsy and other websites. There's a lady in the UK that has made clothes for me. Her name is Mrs. Pappendick. And she does she ships all the way from UK very inexpensively, and you can get her to make like a full thing, or you can just pick and choose just a few pieces if you don't need an entire garment, but you want the jacket, or you just want the waistcoat. It's there's a lot of options out there, so depending on how much you want to spend, you will always find something.
Thank you. Yeah, and my impression, correct me if I'm wrong, is that with men's clothing, that the tailcoat is kind of the centerpiece of the outfit, and then because long trousers were just beginning to come into fashion towards the end of Jane Austen's lifetime, that you can sort of get away with regular pants, and especially if you can find a modern vest that has a flat rather than pointed tail at the bottom. That's what Jesus wears when I dress him in Regency.
Yeah, and it totally looks the part. It totally looks the
and
part.
everything else was purchased. Yeah.
So I also have played with this a lot, the trouser look. So what I usually do is I'll grab a pair of very high-waisted, women's trousers that have a zip on the side, an invisible zip, and it doesn't have the false front for the fall front. But I mean, should anybody really be staring at, that zone? I'm just saying. And what I do is I flip them inside out and then I just taper them a little bit in the leg so that they're nice and fitted all the way down. And I usually can find really lovely fabrics, either like very lightweight wool or even silk, blends that have a little bit of stretch because they're knit and nice and thick as far as like not showing, lumps and bumps and underwear lines. But I have dressed several young men for a ball, all wearing women's trousers from straight through plus sizes, that very high waist, that zip on the side, so there's no fly that gives it that modern look. The fly is the dead giveaway. And they looked fabulous, and especially with like a really splashy, dandy waistcoat, and then you have the tailcoat. Your cravat is just so no one's looking there anyway.
Mhm. Rukshan asked about the Colonial Williamsburg tag sale. Can you share any more information about that, Lena?
Sure, sure. So I don't know if they have it on the same day every year, but the day that I went was November 1st. They have a costume shop that is the size of like I don't know, it's not as big as a Walmart, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood. It's huge. They have this massive conveyor belt that goes all the way through the building with all the different costumes of all the interpreters that work at Colonial Williamsburg. And what they sell at their tag sale are they are machine made, but they're made to a very high standard. So this is like a really nice lightweight linen. And this is actually my heaviest shirt. And then it is a Jabbit shirt. It's got this nice little kind of almost like a bone looking button, and the beautiful collar. And it has a few patches. If you really look carefully, you can see that it's been patched in certain places. And that's why they're selling it. I think I paid $20 for it. So I did have to stand in line. I drove all night to get to Virginia, where Colonial Williamsburg is located. And I stood in line for almost an hour because I was in my car and then I saw everybody lining up outside the door and it's first come, first grab. So I was like, I'm going to get my booty in that line. And it was like, Walmart on Black Friday, but for costumers.
Mm-hmm.
And they give you tours inside the costume shop. You can ask questions, construction questions, or they can show you like special things. They even took me upstairs and showed me some things in their collection. So it was really special.
Sounds amazing. Any other questions?
Believe it or not, I found these on Amazon, and these are incredibly beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They're gorgeous.
They're gorgeous. They do have the drop front. They are made 100% of cotton. They were very inexpensive, and they come in several different colors. And these are the little details that make things so precious. That it has lace, and
it ties in back.
They're absolutely stunning. And another idea that I just found in my closet, also for like, for example, this is a vampire shirt. Like you can find very inexpensively online, and it has this little like lace in the sleeves, and this one actually comes with like a fake cravat, like it's already attached to the
That's great.
It's already attached to the shirt, and then you just like move it around. So it's a vampire shirt, but it just it does the trick.
Yeah. I also just apropos of Regency ladies or feminine clothing, I mean, I think that Jane Austen gives people opportunities to dress up in this particular style. That's one thing that's fun. And then another thing about it is that it's actually quite comfortable and not difficult to make compared to the eras that came before and after. I'm a sort of beginning sewist, and I've kind of taught myself to sew, or I'm learning to, making Regency clothes for myself. And I would be daunted by trying to create a heavily fitted bodice that of the Baroque or Victorian eras, but the Regency, as you showed, Lena, the drawstrings, things fitted with drawstrings, that was very common construction method. pieces that were pinned together. Everything was meant to be adjustable so that you could lend it to your sister or your friend, or, you know, wear it throughout your life, as long as the fabric held up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I had sewed very few things before I started sewing Regency, and it was very beginner friendly. I did choose to make the patterns that were most flexible because I just fluctuate myself in size a lot. And after sewing something that you love, you want to be able to wear it and enjoy it, just as they did in the Regency. So I loved that kind of yeah, how embracing it was. And I wanted to mention something about masculine and feminine clothing. I don't know if anybody who's still on the call has seen the TV show Gentleman Jack. So
Yeah.
it's based on a real historical
Yes.
figure, but the way they did the costumes in the show is she is wearing a gown, she's wearing a dress, but she's wearing a very masculine sort of top half of her clothing and often pairs it with top hats and things. And women wearing top hats, especially for riding, is totally a Regency thing. And um, my son is trans, and we're discussing how he wants to dress for this ball and our upcoming summer balls. And one of the outfits that we're putting together is waistcoat and gown. So I've done waistcoats that are darted for women to wear before, because I've had women who want to wear gentlemen's attire and look fabulous in it. But I just want to put out there that there's more than one way to play with Regency attire, and you can find things that express who you are, that you look beautiful in, and that you feel beautiful in. And I really love the Holy Theater because it has this mission to build a community that leaves people feeling nourished and more able to be brave. And I feel like it's the community that I feel comfortable bringing my son dressed the way that he wants to dress in the outfit that he designed, and knowing that he's going to be around beautiful human beings that are a part of that community is really precious to me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lena. Thank you. Any other questions? Anything else before we wrap? I did share the link to the resource list that Lena put together in the chat, and I will also share it in a follow-up email. Yeah, it's been great talking with you all. Thanks, everybody.